Listen carefully. You don't get replaced because you're not good enough. You get replaced because you are easy to substitute. People don't stay loyal to effort. They stay loyal to outcomes. They don't remember how hard you tried. They remember what changed in their life because you were there. And if the same result can be purchased cheaper, faster, or with less friction, they will move on without an apology. That's not cruelty. That's nature. That's power. The world is a marketplace, and most men walk into it begging to be chosen, smiling, overgiving, explaining themselves, working harder for the same respect. They think loyalty is earned by being agreeable, but loyalty is rented by value, and rent is due every day. Here is the truth that stings. If your presence doesn't create a consequence, your absence won't create a problem. And if your absence doesn't create a problem, you are a decoration, a filler, a temporary convenience. So stop asking, how do I make them stay? That is the language of the replaceable. The untouchable asks a different question. How do I make leaving me expensive? Not with drama, not with threats, with structure, with scarcity, with a level of usefulness that cannot be copied quickly. Because the moment someone feels they have options, they treat you like an option. And the moment you act like an option, available, predictable, needy, you train them to shop around. Tonight, you're going to learn the dark trick that turns the entire dynamic upside down. You won't chase attention. You will become the only door that opens. The law of options. Here's the law that runs every room you enter, even when nobody says it out loud. The person with more options has more power, not the loudest, not the nicest, the one who can walk away without flinching. Because options create gravity, options create patience, options create that calm, cold look in your eyes that tells people, I don't need this, so I can control it. Most men lose before the game starts because they negotiate from hunger. They want the deal. They want the relationship, they want the approval, and the moment you want something more than the other person, you hand them the steering wheel. They start testing you, delaying you, disrespecting you in small ways. Not because they hate you, because they sense you'll tolerate it. And tolerance is an invitation. Now listen closely. You don't become powerful by collecting options like trophies. You become powerful by understanding how options work on the human brain. When people believe they can replace you, they treat you casually. When they believe they can't, they become careful. They start explaining themselves. They start returning calls. They start repairing what they used to ignore. That shift is not romance. It's psychology. It's risk management. People protect what is scarce and costly to lose. So the mission is not to beg someone to choose you. The mission is to quietly eliminate comparisons, to make alternatives feel like downgrade, to make replacement feel dangerous, not through manipulation, but through design, through becoming the rare combination, useful, controlled, disciplined, and emotionally unreachable. The average man tries to be loved, the untouchable becomes necessary, and necessity is stronger than affection, because affection is a mood, necessity is a calculation. Once you understand that, you stop performing, you start positioning, you stop chasing, you start making exits expensive and entries earned. The dark trick. Now we name it. The dark trick isn't a pickup line or a hustle or a cute tactic. It's a principle of power. You become the only option by becoming the only reliable outcome. Most people compete on personality. They try to be funnier, kinder, louder, more available. That's a weak arena because it's crowded and subjective. The cold arena is results. The mind respects what repeatedly solves its pain. So you stop selling yourself and you start engineering certainty. You identify the exact problem people secretly fear. Then you become the person who ends it. Fast, clean, consistent. You don't dabble, you specialize. You sharpen one edge until it cuts deeper than anyone else's entire toolbox. Then you package that edge so it's obvious. One look, one interaction, one delivery, and they feel the difference. Here's what happens inside them. Every time you deliver, their brain stores you as a shortcut, a safe decision, a low-stress choice, and humans will pay, wait, and bend for low stress. But you must add the second blade, control. If you are useful but always available, you become a tool on the table, picked up, put down, forgotten. If you are useful and selective, you become a resource with a cost. You don't announce scarcity, you live it. You answer slower, you enter with purpose. You give less explanation and more results. So the dark trick is simple, ruthless, and clean. Build a rare outcome, attach it to your name, and guard access like it's a weapon. When the outcome is real, they stop asking who you are. They start asking how soon you can show up. You become the quiet standard, the benchmark, the final call they make when failure is expensive. That's how you stop being chosen and start being required every time. Scarcity engineering. Scarcity engineering is where weak men get confused because they think it means acting arrogant, playing games, posting silence like it's strategy. No, scarcity is not performance. Scarcity is structure. It is the discipline to control access to you so people feel the weight of your presence and the cost of your absence. If you are always reachable, always agreeable, always ready, you teach others to treat you like a utility bill, something they deal with whenever it's convenient. But when your time has rules, when your attention has a price, when your energy is not freely donated, the entire dynamic shifts. People don't respect what they can interrupt. They respect what they must schedule. So you begin with one ruthless decision. You stop responding on impulse. You respond on purpose. You don't jump because someone snapped their fingers. You move when it aligns with your standard. And your standard must be visible without you bragging. Short replies, clear boundaries, no emotional essays, no desperate, just checking in. You become calm, not cold, precise, not rude. You give people an experience. Access to you feels like entry into a higher level, not a casual hallway conversation. Then you tighten the second screw, consistency. Scarcity only works when it's stable. If you disappear to punish and reappear to beg, you look childish. But if you are reliably selective, people adapt. They start bringing better offers, better behavior, better respect, because they learn that you don't run on their timeline, you run on yours. And here's the hidden advantage. Scarcity clears your mind. It removes you from noise. It forces you to invest in your own power, not in pleasing strangers. You stop being emotionally available to people who haven't earned you. You stop giving access to the version of you that should be reserved for those who bring value, loyalty, and results. This is how you become the only option without shouting. You become hard to reach, easy to trust, and impossible to forget. Unique value weaponization. Unique value is not talent. Talent is common. Unique value is a weapon you forge on purpose. Most men want to be good at many things because it makes them feel safe, but it makes them forgettable. When you can do a little of everything, anyone can replace you with two cheaper people. So you pick one battlefield and you become lethal on it. Not competent, not decent, undeniable. The dark trick demands you stop being a general and become a specialist with a signature result. Ask yourself one brutal question. What do people come to me for when they're under pressure, when failure is expensive, when time is short? That's your leverage seed. Now sharpen it. Study harder than the lazy. Practice when nobody claps. Remove distractions like they're poison. And then, this part separates men from boys. You package your value so it's visible. Power hates vagueness. Outcomes are what people pay for. So stop saying, I can help. Say, I deliver this. Stop describing effort. Describe results, numbers, before and after, proof, clear processes, quiet confidence. When you speak, your words should feel like a contract, not a request. And never give your best work for free to people who haven't earned access. Free value is fine. Free leverage is stupidity. You give samples, not your system. You teach enough to prove competence, not enough to erase the need for you. That's not cruelty, that's survival. Because if you teach someone everything, they don't respect you, they copy you and call it learning. The untouchable man keeps one thing sacred, the edge. He protects it with discipline, pricing, and boundaries. He shows results, then steps back. He lets people feel the gap between him and the alternatives. And once they feel that gap, the game is over. They stop negotiating. They stop comparing. They start asking one question that signals dominance. When can you start? Dependence without neediness. Dependence is not created by begging for importance. It's created by becoming the calm solution that keeps showing up when others collapse. Most men try to be needed by being available, by over-explaining, by proving their love, their loyalty, their effort. That's not power. That's pleading. The dark method is colder. You make people rely on your outcome, not your emotions. You become the person who brings stability to chaos, clarity to confusion, and results to noise. Then you refuse to attach your self-worth to their reaction. This is how you build dependence without looking thirsty. First, you become predictable in performance, not predictable in access. Your quality is consistent, your presence is not. People should trust that when you act, it lands, but they should never feel they can summon you like a servant. Second, you create invisible infrastructure, systems, checklists, decisions, frameworks, things that quietly make their world run smoother. When you leave, those systems stop running at full speed, and they feel it, not as drama, as friction, as delay, as loss. That's where dependence is born, when your absence introduces problems that didn't exist before. Third, you master the pause. You don't respond instantly to disrespect, mixed signals, or entitlement. You let silence do the work, because the pause forces their brain to fill the gap with questions, and questions create value. The average man chases closure. The untouchable man creates reflection. Fourth, you never compete for your own seat at the table. You act like your place is earned by output, not negotiated by emotion. If they undervalue you, you don't argue. You reduce access. If they respect you, you increase impact. People learn fast when consequences are consistent. And finally, you detach from being understood. Weak men need to be understood. Strong men need to be effective. You don't need them to agree with your boundaries. You need them to adapt to them. That is the difference between neediness and control. Neediness says, please choose me. Control says, this is the standard to reach me. Do this long enough and something lethal happens. They stop treating you like a person they can test, and they start treating you like a resource they can't afford to lose. Reputation as a trap door. Reputation is the trapdoor you build under the feet of anyone who thinks they can play with you. You don't need to threaten people when your name already carries consequence. Most men chase respect through confrontation, loudness, constant self-promotion. That's cheap power, and it expires fast. Real power is when people behave better around you even when you're silent. That's reputation, and you build it the way kings built castles, brick by brick, and never for applause. The first brick is competence, not potential, not I could. Measurable skill. When you speak, it's concise. When you act, it's decisive. You don't overpromise and then scramble. You deliver, then disappear. The second brick is discretion. You don't leak secrets, you don't gossip, you don't talk too much. People feel safe with you because you are not loose. A loose mouth is a loose man. The third brick is consistency. Your standards don't change based on mood, loneliness, or fear of losing someone. Consistency makes you predictable in a powerful way. Others feel the ground under you doesn't move, so they stop trying to shake it. The fourth brick is selectivity. You are careful what you attach your name to. You don't sit at every table. You don't join every argument. You don't chase every opportunity. You choose. And choosing is a signal of status, because it tells the world you have options and you're disciplined enough to say no. Now here's where the trapdoor forms. When your reputation is built correctly, the cost of replacing you rises without you raising your voice. People start thinking in risk. If I choose someone else and it fails, I look stupid. If I disrespect him and he leaves, I lose something stable. If I waste his time, I won't get it back. That internal calculation makes them cautious. They start showing up on time. They start answering faster. They stop testing boundaries they used to push. Because your reputation has turned your absence into a threat, even when you never threaten. But you must protect it. Never argue with clowns in public. Never explain yourself to people who want a reaction more than they want truth. Never accept deals that force you to be desperate. Desperation stains reputation like ink. And one more thing, This is the Machiavellian edge. Sometimes you let small disrespect pass without emotion, just to observe. You study how people behave when they think they can get away with it. That data is priceless. Then you act once, cleanly, with consequence. Not rage, not drama, just removal, just distance, just a door closing. A man with a reputation doesn't need to fight for position. He becomes the position. And once your name equals reliability plus restraint, you stop being an option on the list. You become the safest choice in the room. Psychological positioning. Psychological positioning is the art of making your presence mean something before you even speak. It's not about dominance like insecure men act online. It's about signals, small, consistent signals that train the mind to classify you as higher value, higher risk, and harder to replace. Humans are lazy. They don't evaluate deeply. They categorize. And once you understand that, you stop trying to convince people with long explanations. You position yourself so their brain convinces itself. First signal, you don't chase. Not physically, not emotionally, not digitally. Your energy doesn't leak. You don't double text. You don't over-justify. You don't perform. Chasing tells the brain, I'm beneath you. Please validate me. The moment you remove chase, you remove the impression of need. Second signal, you choose your words like they cost money. Short, precise, calm. You don't fill silence to ease tension. You let silence squeeze the room until others speak first. Silence is a weapon because it forces people to project meaning onto you. Third signal, you don't react quickly. Most men are controlled by triggers, tone, disrespect, delays, uncertainty. The untouchable man watches first. He studies. He responds after the emotion passes, which makes his response feel final. That's power. Fourth signal, you don't overshare. You give enough to be understood, not enough to be read. Mystery is not a gimmick, it's privacy, and privacy creates distance. Distance creates respect. Fifth signal, you keep your life moving. You don't pause your mission for any person's approval. You have goals that don't require their permission. When people feel you have a direction, they either align with you or they get out of the way. Now the key, positioning is not about pretending to be valuable. It's about behaving like a man who knows his value because he has built it. Your schedule reflects it, your boundaries reflect it, your standards reflect it, and your emotional control seals it. The world can't bargain with a man who doesn't negotiate his identity. If someone tries to reduce you, you don't argue. You reposition, you step back, you remove access. You let them feel the downgrade of losing you without begging them to understand. That's the dark trick in action. You don't force respect, you make disrespect inconvenient. And when your positioning is correct, people start doing something strange. They start bringing you better offers, better behavior, better commitment. Not because you demanded it, but because your presence triggers a calculation. If I mishandle him, I lose something rare. That is psychological power, not loud, not messy, just inevitable. The cold detach test. The cold detach test is where most men fail because it demands something they secretly don't have, control over their own hunger. They say they want power, but they live like beggars for attention. They say they want respect, but they negotiate their standards the moment loneliness shows up. Detachment is the proof that you are not owned by outcomes. And if you are not owned, you cannot be manipulated. This is the test. Can you lose what you want without losing who you are? Because the world doesn't reward need, it exploits it. People can smell when you're afraid to be abandoned, afraid to be replaced, afraid to be alone. And that smell invites games, delays, mixed signals, disrespect served in small doses to see if you'll swallow it. The moment you do, you teach them your price. Low. So you build detachment like a discipline, not like a mood. First, you stop chasing closure. Closure is a drug. It keeps weak men returning to conversations that should have ended. If someone is unclear, inconsistent, or disrespectful, you don't demand explanations. You observe behavior and you act accordingly. Confusion is not a mystery to solve. It's a decision being made without your consent, and you remove consent by stepping back. Second, you stop bargaining for basic treatment. You don't argue your worth. You don't defend your boundaries like a lawyer. You state your standard once, calmly, and then you let reality enforce it. If they cross it, access decreases. That's it. No speeches, no threats. The strongest boundary is not what you say, it's what you do next. Third, you master the ability to disappoint people. This is where your spine is built. When you stop trying to keep everyone comfortable, you gain control of yourself. You will say no, you will leave, you will be misunderstood, and you will not rush to fix it, because you are not a public service, you are a man with a mission. Fourth, you train yourself to walk away before resentment builds. Resentment is what happens when you keep giving beyond your standard. The untouchable man leaves early, cleanly. He does not stay long enough to become bitter and loud. He exits while he still respects himself. That exit becomes a signal. This man is not desperate. And desperation is the one trait that makes you instantly replaceable. Now understand the deeper Machiavellian layer. Detachment is not indifference. Detachment is leverage. When you can walk away, you create scarcity without trying. People feel it. They sense you won't tolerate games. They sense your attention is not guaranteed. And attention that is not guaranteed becomes valuable. This is why emotionally chaotic men attract chaos and calm men attract respect. Calm communicates power because it tells the world you are not easily moved. Here is your practice. Next time someone tests you, delays you, disrespects you, gives you crumbs, don't react. Don't send the extra message. Don't perform for reassurance. Pause, breathe, do something productive. Let the nervous system settle. Then choose a response that protects your position, not your feelings. Sometimes the response is a short sentence, sometimes it's silence, sometimes it's distance, but it must always be consistent with your standard. You are training people how to treat you the way you train a blade to hold its edge, through heat, pressure, and refusal to bend. And finally, accept this. Becoming the only option requires you to be willing to become no option at all. That's the paradox. The moment you can lose them and still stand tall, you stop begging to be chosen. You start choosing. And when you start choosing, people feel the shift. They stop seeing you as a role they can replace. They see you as a standard they might not find again. Final oath. You want to become the only option? Then stop thinking like a man who needs permission to exist. This final section is not motivation, it's an oath. Because the dark trick only works when it becomes your identity, not your temporary tactic. You don't try to be scarce, you live by standards. You don't pretend to be valuable, you build value until it shows. You don't act detached, you train your nervous system to stay calm when your ego screams. That is what makes you untouchable. Not arrogance, not theatrics, but a controlled inner core that doesn't collapse when someone withdraws, disrespects, or delays. The world tests men constantly. It pokes you with small provocations to see if you will chase, explain, apologize, bargain, and fold. Most men fold. They call it love or loyalty or being nice. But it is fear wearing a polite mask. Fear of being alone, fear of being disliked, fear of being replaced. And the man who fears replacement will always behave in a way that invites replacement. So listen, from this moment, you operate under a new law. Your attention is not free. Your time is not charity. Your presence is not a public park. You are not here to entertain anyone's indecision. You are here to deliver outcomes and to protect your standard. That means you will do 3 things relentlessly, even when it's uncomfortable. First, you will make yourself rare by becoming excellent, not broadly decent, precisely dangerous. You will pick a skill, a craft, a role, a mission, and you will sharpen it until your output creates an obvious gap. A gap people feel, a gap that makes alternatives look slow and weak. Second, you will control access. You will stop replying like a servant. You will stop over-explaining like a defendant. You will stop offering discounts on your self-respect. You will be polite, but you will be firm, calm, but unmovable. Your yes will mean something because your no is real. And third, you will master detachment. You will become the man who can lose what he wants without begging for it back. Because the moment you can walk away, you become the one who is chased. Not because you manipulated anyone, but because you removed the smell of need. Need is what makes people careless with you. Need is what makes you tolerable instead of respected. Need is what makes you a choice instead of a requirement. Now here is the real ending, the part nobody wants to accept. You will not become the only option by convincing everyone to value you. You become the only option by refusing to live at a value you didn't set. You set the standard through behavior, through outcomes, through silence when others would plead, through distance when others would beg, through consistency when others would spiral. That consistency is what brands your name into people's minds. They may not admit it, they may even resist it, but they will feel it. They will feel that you are not easy to access, not easy to shake, not easy to replace. And when people feel that, they act right. They stop playing games, they bring better energy, they speak with more respect, because deep down everyone understands one rule: you protect what is costly to lose. So make this decision now, not tomorrow, not when you feel confident, now. If someone offers you crumbs, you don't negotiate for a meal, you leave the table. If someone disrespects you, you don't fight for dignity, you remove access. If someone delays you without reason, you don't chase, you continue your mission. You let them feel what it's like when your attention is no longer guaranteed. And if they never come back, good. That wasn't a loss. That was a filter doing its job. The untouchable man does not fear losing people. He fears losing himself. And I want you to lock this in with one sentence, one command, one phrase you can repeat when your emotions rise and your old habits try to return. In the comments, type this exact phrase: I am the standard. Not as a quote, not as a joke, as a contract with yourself. I am the standard. Because when you become the standard, you are no longer competing. You are selecting. You are no longer asking to be chosen. You are deciding who earns access to you. If you felt this hit, do what strong men do. Commit. Like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because we're building a mind that doesn't chase, doesn't fold, and doesn't get replaced.